So I have this thing called a camera within my possession, a few, thank God. And that camera could be used for infinite things, possibilities, right? Is the use of it for something like this where I've said, okay, I've got cameras, I've got a great friend who I love, we're going to sit and learn Torah, Rav Kook Torah, what could be better? Is that called utilizing for Kodesh? Where does chapter 4 take us on this?
Okay, so in chapter 3, we spoke about how there is no animosity between 𝗺𝗵 HaKodesh and 𝗺𝗵𝗃𝗁, between holy wisdom and mundane wisdom.
It's all the same.
Chapter 4 is called 𝗵𝗡𝗶'𝗸𝗁𝗍, which means the truth which is demanded from everything, but also by everything on a certain level. Rav Kook in the 4th chapter talks about how essentially the idea that we laid out, even though it is kind of radical in terms of the paradigm shift of how we relate to things, it's utterly simple in the sense that people tend to investigate and attempt to gain mastery over the world because they believe that it's leading them somewhere. And so if Tov 𝗺𝗵 HaKodesh, if 𝗺𝗵 HaKodesh is a good leader that is not trying to stop the progression of 𝗺𝗵 HaKodesh, of mundane wisdom, but is actually its greatest fan and wants to use it for a holy purpose, then everything that you just said, the cameras, the software, the mixing board, the microphones, all of these things are not the inanimate objects themselves, but our interfacing with them are demanding of us that we use them in a good way.
People want power. The thing that holds them back, and I think it in a very obvious way, people want to ignore this idea that things have a transformative effect, and they can, because it means taking responsibility and it means relinquishing being number one. There's something in a person, we call it 𝗬𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗁𝗍 in a simplistic way. But look at all these evil people in the world. Look at it's all about control and power. Politics, all about power. It's mental, but it's going to take a lot for people to relinquish that.
What's interesting about chapter 4 is that Rav Kook, it's almost like a visionary piece where he's saying, I believe in humanity and I see in humanity the capacity for eventually getting there. In other words, when he calls it the emes, the authenticity or the authentic use of everything in the world, 𝗵𝗡𝗶'𝗇𝗺, which is demanded of everything, what Rav Kook is basically saying is that humanity is hardwired in such a way that we will not allow, it's impossible that all of the wisdom that we've amassed over the centuries of human history, from the moment that we first cultivated fire to now, and all of the wisdom that we've generated, all of the technology that we've generated, it's impossible that the human being will allow that to just be something that we can do instead of actually using it for something meaningful.
You mean there's going to be a light bulb moment? It might not be one moment. I feel like we're in it. We're not there yet. I feel like in this generation, people are more. Look at how people just want to be fairer, more tolerant. This idea, it's a drip effect.
Part of that, and this is he kind of floats in this direction in this piece, which is unusual because it doesn't fit with the rest of the theme of the entire 13 chapters that are part of this first island of Rav Kook's thought. I guess he can't help himself. He floats off into this in the very last paragraph that he says, Ashreinu ma tov chelkenu, that the Jewish people, how praiseworthy are we, how lucky, how fortunate we are that the Jewish people have returned to the land of Israel. And he goes with this whole last paragraph about how when the Jewish people have returned to Israel, as thought leaders of this idea that it's not so much about what we can do, but how do we use this to further something good? How do we make sure that there's a good ending to the film, which is something which we're trying to capitalize on because it's hardwired into the human being to see that this is progressing in a positive way. It's a very optimistic piece, chapter 4.